Hello, my name is Jiso and I'm reading Master Dōgen Shōbōgenzō. Chapter 81 is O-Saku-Sendaba, a king's seeking of Saindhava. O means king, Saku means to seek, and Sendaba is a phonetic rendering of the Sanskrit Saindhava. Saindhava means products of the Indus River basin. The Parinirvana Sutra contains a story which uses the multiple meanings of words to express the ambiguity of reality. When a king needs to wash his hands and requests Saindhava, his servant will bring water. When the king is eating a meal and requests Saindhava, the servant will bring salt. When the king wants to drink water and requests Saindhava, the servant will bring a cup. And when the king wants to go out and requests Saindhava, the servant will bring a horse. Buddhist monks in China often used this story to discuss the multiple meanings of words and the ambiguous nature of reality. In this chapter, Master Dōgen explains the meaning of a king's seeking of Saindhava from his own unique viewpoint. Words, no words. Real wisteria and real trees. Feeding donkeys, feeding horses. Clear water and transparent clouds. Big footnote. This poem describes the world in which we live. The first line, words, no words, suggests that sometimes there are words to affirm things and sometimes there are no words to affirm things. This is the first or intellectual phase. The second line, real wisteria and real trees, suggests the concrete interrelationship between real things. Here, wisteria, which relies on a tree for support. The line can also be seen as representing the negation of words, phrases and ideas, and the passage into the area of concrete things. In the third line, feeding donkeys, feeding horses, people feed donkeys and people feed horses, suggesting action in daily life, the third phase. And the final line, clear water and transparent clouds, suggests that in reality, water is just water and clouds are just clouds, things as they are. The poem alludes to the philosophical system called Shiku Funbetsu, which was elucidated by Master Nagarjuna, the 14th century patriarch in India. Words, no words. Real wisteria and real trees. Feeding donkeys, feeding horses. Clear water and transparent clouds. Because this is the way it is already. In the Sutra of the Great Parinirvana, the world-honoured one says, for example, it is like a great king telling his retainers, bring Saindhava. Saindhava is one word for 4 products. The first is salt, the second is pots, the third is water, the fourth is horses. These 4 things each have the same name, yet a wise retainer is able to know the meaning of this word. If the king requests Saindhava when about to wash, the retainer at once brings water. If the king requests Saindhava when eating, the retainer at once brings salt. If the king requests Saindhava when after eating, when he wants to drink water, the retainer at once serves a pot. If the king requests Saindhava when he wants to go out, the retainer at once serves a horse. A wise retainer like this is able to understand in 4 ways a great king's secret talk. Just a note that secret talk is chapter 51, Mitsugo, and is also from the chapter entitled The Nature of the Tathagata. Okay. The king's seeking of Saindhava, along with the retainer's serving of Saindhava, have come to us from long ago. They have been transmitted in common with the Dharma robe. The world-honoured one himself inevitably discussed them, and so his descendants have discussed them again and again. We can guess that those who have experienced the same state as the world-honoured one have made Saindhava into their own practice. To those who are not in the same state as the world-honoured one, When you buy straw sandals and tread one step forward on foot, you have got it already. Saindhava in the house of the Buddhist patriarchs has secretly leaked out, and so Saindhava is present in the residences of great kings. The eternal Buddha Wanshi of Tendozan Mountain in the great Sung city of Kaiganfu, in formal preaching in the Dharma hall, preaches to the assembly. To quote, a monk asks Joshu, "How is it when a king seeks Saindhava?" Joshu bows with hands folded. Secho comments, "It was the seeking of salt and the serving of a horse." The master Wanshi says, Secho is an excellent master of 100 years ago. Joshu is an eternal Buddha 120 years of age. If Joshu is right, Secho is wrong. If Secho is right, Joshu is wrong. Now say, in the end, how is it? I, Tendo, cannot help adding a footnote. If we differ from it by 1,000th or 100th, we will miss it by 1,000 miles. To understand is to beat about in the grass to scare snakes. Not to understand is to burn money to attract demons. Without preferences in regard to an uncultivated field is old Gutai. Extending his hand, he tackles what he picks up just now. So those 4 lines there. To understand is to beat about in the grass to scare snakes is a symbol of ineffective effort. Not to understand is to burn money to attract demons, a symbol of unreasonable behaviour. There was a custom at Chinese funerals of placing money in the coffin. Later, the authorities prohibited the burying of money, and the custom evolved into burning imitation paper money. Without preferences in regard to an uncultivated field is old Gutai. Master Gutai of Mount Kinka, who was famous for his one-finger Zen, said that he answered questions by raising one finger. And extending his hand, he tackles what he picks up just now is a source untraced, but possibly Wanshi Koroko. During formal preaching in the Dharma hall, my late master, the eternal Buddha, would usually say, the eternal Buddha Wanshi. But only my late master, the eternal Buddha, has met the eternal Buddha Wanshi as an eternal Buddha. In Wanshi's time, there was a certain Soko called the Zen Master Dai of Kinzan Mountain, who may have been a distant descendant of Nangaku. The whole realm of the Great Sung thinks that Dai might be equal to Wanshi. However, some have thought that he is more of a person of the fact than Wanshi. This mistake has arisen because both monks and lay people in the great kingdom of Sung, being negligent in learning, are not yet clear in their eyes for the truth, are without clarity in knowing people, and are without the ability to know themselves. I like the link there. If you're without clarity in knowing people, you are without the ability to know yourself. In Wanshi's comment, the real establishment of the will is present. We should learn in practice the principle of the eternal Buddha Joshu bowing with hands folded. Just at that moment, is it the king's seeking of Saindhava or not? And is it the retainer's service of Saindhava or not? We should learn in practice Secho's teaching that it was the seeking of salt and the serving of a horse. The seeking of salt and the serving of a horse is each the king's seeking of Saindhava and the retainer's seeking of Saindhava. The world-honoured one seeks Saindhava, and Mahakassyapa's face breaks into a smile. The first patriarch seeks Saindhava, and the 4 disciples serve a horse, salt, water, and a pot. We should learn the pivotal state which, at the moment when a horse, salt, water, or a pot and the seeking of Saindhava become one, is the serving of a horse or the serving of water. Nansen, one day on seeing To Inpo, comes towards him, points to a water jar and says, "The jar is circumstances. Inside the jar there is water. Without disturbing the circumstances, bring some water to this old monk." Inpo then brings the jar of water before Nansen and pours. Nansen leaves it at that. Thus, Nansen seeks water, the ocean having dried right to the bottom. Inpo serves a pot, tipped over and emptied out completely. By Nansen leaving it at that, it suggests Master Nansen's affirmation of Master Inpo's behaviour. And although they are like this, at the same time we should learn in practice that in reality of circumstances there is water, and in the reality of water, I got that wrong. We should learn in practice that in the reality of circumstances there is water, and in the reality of water there are circumstances. Lots of footnotes. In the reality of means inside, as in inside the jar there is water. However, at the same time, this kanji chu sometimes means in the state of or the reality of. There is water. This is Master Nansen's phrase with kyo, circumstances, substituted for the jar. And there are circumstances. This characteristic reversal of elements suggests the interdependence of subject and object. Great Master Kyogen Shuto, the story goes, is asked by a monk, what is a king's seeking of Saindhava? Kyogen says, pass there and come here. The monk leaves. Kyogen says, his stupid response could kill a person. That's from the Blue Cliff record. Now let us ask, is the state Kyogen expressed as pass there and come here the seeking of Saindhava, or is it the serving of Saindhava? Try, if you will, to say something. Is the monk's having left that place the state that Kyogen sought? Is it a state that Kyogen served? Is it what Kyogen originally expected? If it is not what Kyogen originally expected, he should not say his stupid response could kill a person. If it is what Kyogen originally expected, it could not be a stupid response that kills a person. What Kyogen has expressed is the total effort of his whole career. Even so, he has not been able to avoid losing his body and losing his life. He is like the general of a defeated army, still talking of his bravery. Great expression. In sum, the brains and the eyes that preach the yellow and describe the black. Let's take some understanding. Preaching the yellow means manifesting the Buddhist state, because yellow suggests the colour of the earth in China, something realistic or down to earth. And describing the black suggests the behaviour of Buddhist patriarchs, the black being the misconceptions, wrong views and bad habits that Buddhist patriarchs skillfully bring to the attention of their students. So, the brains and the eyes that preach the yellow and describe the black are naturally the painstaking and meticulous seeking and serving of Saindhava. Who could claim not to understand the taking up of a staff or holding up a fly whisk? At the same time, the seeking and serving of Saindhava are not the state of people who play stringed instruments with bridges glued. Alludes to the movable bridges positioned under the strings of a koto, a Japanese harp. Playing koto with its bridges glued symbolises blind adherence to fixed ideas or rules, inflexibility, and corresponding lack of sensitivity to actual conditions or real needs. Because these people do not know that they are playing stringed instruments with bridges glued, they are not in the state. The world-honoured one day, ascends the seat of preaching. Manjusri claps the sounding block and says, when we see into the Dharma of the Dharma King, the Dharma of the Dharma King is like this. The world-honoured one descends from the seat. Juken, the Zen master Mayukaku of Sechozan Mountain, says, an excellent practitioner among the forest's sacred ranks knows that the Dharma edict of the Dharma King is not like that. If any in the assembly is an exponent of Saindhava, why does Manjusri need to deliver a clap? So what Secho says is this: if one clap is for flawlessness through the whole body, To have delivered it and not to have delivered it both may be the liberated state of flawlessness. If in the state like this, one clap. If in the state like this, one clap is Saindhava itself. And the person may be a person of the ineffable already, that is, an exponent of Saindhava in sacred ranks united as one forest. Forest, I think, means monastery or sangha. Thus, the Dharma of the Dharma King is like this. To be able to use the 12 hours is to seek Saindhava. To be used by the 12 hours is to seek Saindhava. We should seek a fist and serve a fist. We should seek a fly whisk and should serve a fly whisk. Nevertheless, people in the temples of Great Sung China today who call themselves veterans have never realized the state of Saindhava, even in a dream. How painful it is that the patriarch's truth is going downhill. Do not shirk hard practice, and you will surely succeed to the lifeblood of the Buddhist patriarch. For example, when the question is put, what is Buddha? And the answer is given, the mind here and now is Buddha. What does this mean? Is this not Saindhava? We should painstakingly investigate who is described by the mind here and now is Buddha. Does anyone know that it is Saindhava jostling? Shōbōgenzō O-Saku-Sendaba, preached to the assembly at Daibatsuji Temple in Eshu on the 23rd day of the 10th lunar month in the 3rd year of Kangen, 1245. Thanks for listening. Take care now.